Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this video, I will present the result of the article analysis that I have done. First, I will introduce myself. My name is Adam Muhammad Subarkah from the second semester of the Pancasila and Civic Education Study Program. Here, I have analyzed 5 articles. I will explain a few points of the content from the article. Okay, straying to the first article. The title of the first article is Pancasila as Ideology and Characteristic Civic Education in Indonesia, and this article has a civic education theme. In this article, we will examine what is the concept of citizenship education in every country, especially in Indonesia. Then, how is the existence of character education in a country? And lastly, we will find out about is the ideology of Pancasila, a character of citizenship education in Indonesia. Okay, let's go to the first discussion, namely the concept of citizenship education in Indonesia. The concept of citizenship education in Indonesia cannot be spared from the concept of citizenship education in America as the country of origin of citizenship education. From the discussion point of view, citizenship education is education that often discusses matters relating to the government, while the basis used in citizenship education in Indonesia is the 1945 Constitution. Next, we enter the existence of character education for a country. Character education has an important meaning for a country, because character education is an effort to form good citizens, knowledgeable, intelligent, skilled, and able to solve various problems in life, because the existence of a country in an international arena depend on the good or bad character of the human resource in the country. Then, the last discussion in this article is the ideology of Pancasila as a characteristic of citizenship education in Indonesia. The founding father formulated the state ideology by looking at the national ancestors who have polite nature, except difference are noble and religious. Pancasila-based citizenship education must continue to be used from a Pancasila-based and democratic society. Tolerance in one of the parties of citizenship education based on Pancasila. That was the review of the first article. Then we will see in the second article. The title of the second article is The Right of Privacy and Freedom of the Press, the concept of legal justice in Indonesia. This article has the theme freedom of speech and law. In this second article, we will look at the current state of the media, which has gone beyond, because it is too liberal and free. Many parties feel that their personal rights have been harmed because of media coverage. The law is also considered not to protect victims, whose rights have been violated by the media. The Indonesian press law is considered not to have a clear system of legal accountability. We enter the first discussion, namely the right to the reply as the first type. Press freedom is very vital in a democracy. The function of the press in a democracy is to spread news that is proven to be true. Everyone has the right to express whatever feeling he likes, but he has to bear the consequence publishes inappropriate and illegal news. The provision of compensation is considered inefficient to restore the good name of someone whose good name has been defamed by the media. Right of reply and right of correction are considered more efficient in restoring one's reputation. The existence of the right of correction has no also been recognized below. However, sometimes there are still people who complain about the unsatisfactory implementation of the right of reply. Next, we look into personality right, legal justice. Just so you know, the media is not always clean. Sometimes the media can also violate someone's personal right, such as spreading false information that can damage someone's reputation. Freedom of expression is not absolute and can be limited if it violates the personal right of others. For this reason, the government sometimes does restriction on press freedom to limit the media in issuing news that can threaten the sovereignty of a country. However, a person or group can be considered to have violated the law because it prevents journalists from carrying out their journalistic work, which is protected by law. Whereas if there are journalists who violate the press code of ethics, they will only be subject to sanction in the form of giving the right of reply. According to John Rawls' theory of legal justice, equality before the law between society or individuals and the press is the same, and no one is immune from the law. Who did it is responsible. Okay, that was the review of the second article. Then we will continue in the next article. Alright, this third article is entitled The Role of the Corruption Eradication Commission Supervisory Board within the Indonesian Constitutional Structure. The theme of this article is corruption and law. In this article, we will know about many Indonesian people complain about the existence of the KPK Supervisory Board because people believe that it can weaken the KPK struggle. Many cases have shown that in carrying out their duties, many KPK practice and action that extends their authority. Okay, let's go to the first discussion about the position of the KPK Supervisory Board within the Indonesian constitutional structure. The position of anti-corruption institution in the state structure will greatly determine the independence of these institutions in carrying out their duties and function. Anti-corruption institutions under the government will tend to be independent and will be easily interrupted in conflict. The KPK Supervisory Board will influence the independence and function of the KPK in eradicating corruption. The KPK and the KPK Supervisory Board are part of the executive but will continue to show independence in carrying out their duties. One of the independence of the KPK is during investigation and during arrest operation. Next, about lawmaker view on the creation of KPK Supervisory Board. We will see that the KPK is different from the Joint Corruption Eradication Team, which was formed to handle corruption crimes under the Attorney General Office, whose status are of course also different. The KPK was formed on the basis of the failure of the function of the Prosecutor Office and the police to deal with corruption. The establishment of the KPK Supervisory Board is very important because it allows the KPK to oppose unlimited power. Next, KPK Supervisory Board caused a lot of polemic in the community because the position of the organizational structure of the KPK Supervisory Board have not been regulated in Act. Although the KPK Board has a higher position above the KPK, the direction of the KPK goals is still determined by the KPK leadership. Of course, the KPK Supervisory Board has the right to impose sanctions on KPK member who violate the KPK Code and of Ethics. That was the discussion in the third article. Then we will enter the fourth article. This fourth article is entitled Electronic Digital Identification as an Element of a Democracy in Indonesia. The theme of this article is democracy. The problem that we will explore in this article, the challenge of conducting election electronically, which include the digital divide, protection of personal data, and the resilience of the system against hacker. The beginning of the idea of the EKTP is from Director General of Taxes and the Ministry of Finance to facilitate the administration of citizens in paying tax. KTP was then handled by Minister of the Home Affairs and the government passed the law on citizenship administration. In addition to facilitating administration, ID cards are also made for the purpose of protection, recognition, and determination of citizen status. More about the art e-democracy, the implementation of democracy, and facilitate the administration of democracy actor in Indonesia. Alright, the discussion of the fourth article is finished. Now we will discussion about 5 article or the last article in my presentation this time. Them in this 5 article is human right with the article title death penalty and human right in Indonesia. This article discuss the issue about whether then the death penalty is a violation of human right. The death penalty in Indonesia is still a polemic because it is considered a violation of human right. However, the death penalty still applies to those who commit serious crimes such as terrorism, drugs, and murder. Alright, that was a review of 5 articles that I have read. Henceforth, I will end my presentation in this video. Sorry for my strength and weakness in delivering my presentation. Thank you and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.